All right, folks, welcome in. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr. Well, today was not the day that we were hoping for, unfortunately. Carlos Rodon gave it his all. I do not blame this on Rodon at all. I thought he pitched really well, all things considered. But the bullpen, Gary, very, very concerning, in my opinion. I don't want to be one of those people that's very flip-floppy and, the bullpen's great, bullpen's terrible, the bullpen's great, bullpen's terrible. But when you really think about it, let's just put it all out there, okay? We were jumping for joy that Devin Williams had that gutsy performance the other day. He's been horrendous aside from that. Then the last time we saw Luke Weaver, actually the last 3 times we've seen Luke Weaver, he wasn't good. Now Fernando Cruz couldn't locate his splitter today. We've talked about it. Fernando Cruz, when he is on, he might be the best reliever in baseball. But when he is not on, he is throwing meatballs. It's just essentially a beach ball up at the plate. Tim Hill comes in for a pitch, and then you had Ian Hamilton, who really got himself into a jam, and I thought he was working his way out of it. And to be honest with you, whether he would have or not, I don't care. Gary, this is one of the most frustrating moves of the entire season for me. I don't know why. I am irate at Boone for putting in Tyler Matzik in high leverage when this is a guy who essentially comes in when you're up 10 runs. He has not had high leverage work this year. That was horrendous. I'm not saying Ian Hamilton 100% gets out of it. He did just have a huge strikeout with the bases loaded, and I do believe he would have gotten out of it, at least giving up maybe another run. I don't think he gives up all 3. That was my take, but what say you?
So I look at, and first of all, if you guys are new here, make sure you guys like and subscribe to this video. We really appreciate it. And secondly, my opinion on this, I think Aaron Boone has been a little bit timid with how he's going about managing games where we're technically behind, or maybe we get punched in the mouth, we're down a run, and we need to preserve maybe that 1-run deficit. And suddenly you start putting guys in off schedule. And this is what I mean by that. Carlos Rodon ends up giving up 4 runs through 3 innings of work. After he got out of the 3rd inning, you're already thinking to yourself, this is not a good start. But as the start continued to go on, you started to look up and say, oh, wow, he's finished the 5th. Oh, okay, we finished the 6th. This actually turned into an outing where he's given the Yankees a chance. Something that we've asked him to do, he did exactly that. Then you turn around and the first guy at the bullpen was Fernando Cruz. That's a guy we consider high leverage, somebody that we're comfortable with. He goes 2/3 of an inning, 3 hits, 3 earned runs. He was horrible, right? The splitter was not located. I know he had a strikeout today, but overall, you give up hard contact on that splitter. If it's not located, it goes a long way. So he put us into a bind. And then after that moment, it seemed like Aaron Boone made a decision that we're going to protect our top guys in our bullpen. We're going to use Tim Hill. We're going to use Ian Hamilton. We're going to eventually go to Tyler Matzik. And it just seemed like the Yankees were punting on the rest of the game. And of course, if they really were punting, they would just quit and went home. But when you don't put out, maybe not your high leverage guys, but any of them, it just sort of tells the story that you're sort of reading the room of the division and saying, well, the team in second place, the Boston Red Sox, is playing 500 baseball. Maybe this is just not our day. Let's bring out Ian Hamilton. Okay, it's not his day. Let's bring in Tyler Matzik. And I like to call him the human victory cigar. Somebody gave me the nickname today. What'd they say? Something Matzik. It was someone on X, essentially along the lines of he's just mop up Matzik. There you go. Right? And when you see him, I actually have this name written down. It actually, every time I see him, it reminds me a lot of Brooks Kriske. You remember him? And when you'd see that guy come out the bullpen, you sort of knew the Yankees are saying, we don't quit. We're still playing, but this guy doesn't pitch unless we feel like we're in a compromising position. And it just seemed like that's the way that the Yankees were managing this game. Brooks Kriske. Oh,
I don't know why every time I saw him, I thought of Crisco. The
Crisco
spray.
Yeah, it was very bad. Yeah. So I guess, so even my daughter's crying in the background. She hears Brooks Kriske. She's crying. So the gist is here. The Yankees offense did enough to win today, right? The ball was flying. They just did. They expected probably more from Rodon, but all things considered, Rodon stayed in the moment. That's something that he struggled with his first 3 starts of the year. You punch him in the mouth, and now he's complaining. You can't call him belligerent, but you can see he's off his mark. He just never recovers. He's recovering now. You actually see towards the end of the game, once his start essentially was ruined by Cruz with a 3-run jack, it seemed like Rodon, his baseline and his mentality hadn't spiked at all. It hadn't changed in any moment. He actually seems like a really even-keeled teammate, which is good. So something I haven't seen from Carlos Rodon at any point in his tenure as a Yankee, so I was proud of that. But yeah, I mean, I understand your frustration. When you see a close game and you see Cruz doesn't have his best stuff, and then the guys who go after that is Hill, Hamilton, Matzik, yeah, you're not going to win many games when that's your trio coming out the bullpen to finish a game. And it is what it is. It happened. And then now we show up, I believe tomorrow is the finale, right? It's a 3-game series.
Yeah. And Hill threw 1 pitch, so we're doing that again.
So you're not a fan of the 1-pitch outings, I take it.
No. Boone, stop it. Hill should have stayed in. But regardless, Hamilton should have stayed in. But regardless of that, if it wasn't Hamilton or Hill with the bases loaded, I'm putting in Devin Williams or I'm putting in Weaver, because
that's the hard part though, Jake, is that, so if you think of it, the Yankees don't want to use their big guns if they're behind in a game, because I see it in the chat. Someone said, well, their bullpen is going to beat our bullpen every single day. And that is true. The A's have a way better bullpen than we do. They have a better bullpen than most teams in baseball. So do you burn a Weaver, you burn a Williams, or whoever else you want to pitch? You threw Cruz fresh out the bullpen. He came out first. So you're going to go with your top 3 guys or top 4 guys, whoever you want to go with, in a situation where you're not maybe planning on winning this game. Maybe your offense has to have a comeback. So
I would understand
Aaron Boone feels
that
like,
if it wasn't
what's
a
that?
1-run game, Gary. That's my issue. That's my disconnect. I understand, sometimes you got to wave the white flag, or at least maybe take the foot off the gas a little bit, realizing, we don't want to, jeopardize tomorrow. But this was a winnable game. If they get out of the inning, 7-6, they could have won this game.
No, they definitely could have won the game. I just think
they should have won the game.
Boone's job is like to win the game, but also in his defense, if he attempts to win the game full board, and I know everyone likes to believe you're going to throw your best option every single day. Who's your best guy to close a game? Okay, so technically speaking, anytime there's a game that's close, your closer should throw, because he's going to keep the game where it's at. But also Boone's job is to manage the long term. And we don't necessarily think about the long term at the time. Bernie with the chat says, do you think the first 2 of those hits off of Cruz were catchable? The dinker in front of Martian. We've seen a couple dinkers fall in front of Jason Dominguez in general. He's usually pretty conservative on balls in front of him. Don't necessarily have a huge problem with it. And that drive to Grisham probably makes most of the time. I thought Grisham today, by the way, defensively, was just not very good. I understand the ball was flying and balls were going deeper in general than what most players in the field were expecting. You saw that from really all 6 outfielders who played today in this game. But Trent Grisham did not play well in center field today. I think it's fine to mention that. Did you see
in the comments section, someone mentioned, and I don't know this, I'm literally asking you.
What's that?
If you think that this would have anything to do. So this right here I found very fascinating there. No third deck of the stadium, tougher to see the ball. Does that have any play? Because I'm not saying it doesn't or it does. I don't know. I'm asking you.
Well, you hear some of these remarks when you talk about playing spring training baseball, especially in Arizona. They call it high sky, whatever it is, however you want to describe it. And I don't know. I just think in general, didn't Grisham really, like, not even talking about the Dominguez stuff and balls in front of him, but balls to the wall, it seemed like Grisham was like a real standout of not knowing where these balls were landing. And
unlike him, for sure.
It was unlike him, and that's what I care about, is who you are most of the time. Trent Grisham so far in 2025 has been pretty good defensively. Tonight, it didn't look very good, and can you say it maybe cost him a game? I mean, maybe. But overall, I think if I thought it was a problem in more games than not, then I would probably talk about it for about 20 minutes here. But yeah, I think just from the outside looking in and having watched this game in its entirety, yeah, it wasn't good out there. It just wasn't. And maybe there are some factors in terms of the field. Maybe they're playing in a spring training park in Sacramento, California. So there's certainly something to talk about there. I'm just not sure.
And then, with Jason Dominguez, because you had said, he tends to play it more conservatively. Doesn't it almost feel like that was done, like the coaches got in his head and told him this? It looks as though he's been directed to play that way. That's like when I watch him, it looks like it's almost textbook for him. Like, okay, yep, because you watch him, he's taking that step back to make sure the ball is in front of him. I'm sure, I don't know for sure, but I feel like a coach or one of the coaches told him, we'd rather have you, have that if it's like in between and it's a close call, we'd rather have you give up the single than give up a triple. And a good example of that, I thought, was when Grisham dove, and it was a horrendous dive because he was nowhere near the ball. He took a bad path to the ball, bad angle.
Are you talking about that triple, right?
Yeah. And, I mean, the Yankees got, they lucked out with the ball going under, which, how is that happening? I don't know.
You know what, though? There's players that make business decisions with how they decide to play baseball defensively.
That's true.
Okay? And so if you look at it, Soto last year with the Yankees, he wanted to play with his back against the wall. He wanted to play everything in front of him. He did not like balls behind him at the wall. He hated that.
So he decided when he had no chance of getting every diving catch was not a diving catch.
Right. But he was playing deep. Manny Ramirez, all the way back in the day, Manny Ramirez likes to play shallow. That's the way he likes to play it. And he understood how to play the wall out in Fenway. So there's just certain adjustments that players make. And obviously, Jason Dominguez is 22. He's going to just figure things out of what he likes to do out there. And sometimes you're going to look at a player and say, well, he doesn't really play balls in front of him very well. Okay. And you just sort of have that understanding. And it doesn't mean that something necessarily has to change. You should just know that about a player. They just have a certain quirk. So we're going to care about it in losses. We're not going to give a lick if he's hitting 290 with 35 bombs. I promise you we just won't. So I'm not going to read too much into it about what he's doing on balls in front of him. It's just, I guess, something to bring up. But yeah, my main concern today, the Yankees were sort of at arm's length, probably could have taken this game today. And Aaron Boone made the decision that we're not going to go with our top guns to keep the game close. We're going to go with guys that maybe we trust to some degree at some level, but they're not our top guys, and obviously the game got away from us.
Yeah, really frustrating. Obviously just following last night, you're thinking you're going to go in there and you're going to keep it going, the momentum, and build that winning streak, because this is something that the Yankees have failed to do. I mean, really, they can't put together streaks. So they finally have one going, and then they lose this one. And what's really frustrating is Peraza, who's struggled as of late, had a huge 2-run jack that should have pretty much iced the game. I mean, at that point, I felt like the game was over. I did. Because I was like, oh, Fernando Cruz is going to come in, and then you're probably going to see, one of, if not both, of Devin Williams and Luke Weaver. And right now, I feel like Devin Williams deserves the benefit of the doubt coming from that following appearance. So I'd feel confident the next time he comes in. Now, that's up to him to how I feel after that. But so I guess really, Gary, I really did feel like that was the game. And it was incredibly frustrating to watch Cruz give up that 3-run jack. But at the same time, Cruz, more often than not, is dominant. So I'm not going to get on Cruz. He made a mistake on the pitch. He had a couple of mistakes. He wasn't locating well, but he is normally really good. And I think really the most frustrating parts of this game, Grisham's defense was frustrating. I thought Ben Rice's pinch at bat was abysmal. That was horrendous. I understand it's against Mason Miller, but you got two guys on, and I thought, he was guessing on that first pitch, probably thinking fastball. So when Miller kind of threw that off-speed pitch that was right down the plate, I thought Rice could have crushed that. But Rice, I think, was just looking for the fastball, and then he comes to the fastball again, kind of does that whole lifts his arms up to try to make it, look more inside than it was. and then he swings at a horrendous pitch way low in the zone. That was a frustrating at bat for me because I actually liked the move from Boone to do that. Even though Peraza was the guy that gave you the lead, I agreed with the lefty-righty matchup. Rice is a 900-plus OPS guy, and you get him now with two guys on, and you have a chance to really do damage. And all I'm thinking is Mason Miller, we've seen it, that 103 miles an hour, 104 miles an hour is crazy. But if you get a hold of that and you got some good bat speed, you can make guys pay. I keep going back to last year around this time, Anthony Volpe taking on Clase. Clase is throwing gas. Volpe just sticks his bat out, and the thing goes way down the line, and he got like a 3-run double out of it and won the game or whatever. So I just kind of saw something like that, and I liked what Boone was doing there. See, I'll criticize Boone, but I'll give him credit. And it was just frustrating to see that at bat from Ben Rice. And then, of course, Matzik. That was the most frustrating part of the day. He had no business being out there in that type of game. I get what you're saying, but I just don't know why they moved on from some of the guys they did and kept Matzik. That is just beyond me. I am ready for Johnny Lowe to come back. However long we end up having him, whether that is a week, a month, a year, unlikely, but I'm ready for him to come back. He definitely will have a role, Gary. No doubt about it. He can slide right in there. You can kick Matzik off the roster.
Yeah, and let me get to some of these super chats, and it obviously in regards, I'm going to touch on this Ben Rice situation. In terms of talent, Mason Miller is one of the most talented arms in the game. He strikes out 47.5% of batters. They'd even get into the batter's box. That's just the simple statistics, and that's the way you should take it. So when I saw Ben Rice go up there, my first thought was, this is the right move. Obviously, Ben Rice does majority of his damage against right-handed pitching. He hits under 200 against lefties. So this is just teeing something up for him. But teeing something up that's opportunistic for you is most opportunistic when you just see a standard right-handed arm. There is nothing standard about Mason Miller. There's no such thing as an advantage as a hitter that loves to face righties when Mason Miller happens to be that righty. Mason Miller is just better. And you saw that in some of the at-bats. You saw it with Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is the best hitter of this generation, and you just don't look that good when Mason Miller's pitching. That's why so many people want him, not just Yankees fans, not just Red Sox, Phillies fans. Everybody wants this guy. So he's got a ton of talent, and sometimes he can make you look really bad. And when people talk about guess hitting, it's not just velocity. When you're throwing 100 miles an hour, I think his average fastball is 101. It's also spin. It's also the slider off of that pitch. And you saw Ben Rice guessing. We've seen a lot of hitters guess, right? We saw Juan Soto last season get blown away on 3 straight fastballs. So that tells you the level that Mason Miller's pitching at with that heater. So I'm not going to fault Ben Rice. I thought the Yankees and Aaron Boone did exactly what they were supposed to do in that moment. Just because you did the right thing and you moved the right piece doesn't mean it's going to mean a damn thing. So they got overpowered. It is what it is there, but totally agree with you on the back end of the bullpen, Jake. I thought obviously it was pretty weak. And maybe the Yankees could use some reinforcement there. And Yankees for the win with the super, with the 5. Thank you for that. Says, yes, Trent Grisham for the most part has been okay, but I'm tired of his nonchalant attitude. Now, just to adjust that, Grisham's been more than okay. He's been elite. He's been great. Okay. But the nonchalant attitude chasing down the ball, plus batting, 1 through 5. Second, he left AJ home run with no one on. So I'm gonna bring up the nonchalantness of a baseball player, and I'm gonna mention something in his defense. We have to look at our history as Yankees fans and really ask ourselves, do we care if a player's nonchalant? Like, let's be real. If a player is poor performing, yes. Being nonchalant and looking lackadaisical out there or looking super just casual is going to ruffle some feathers. It's going to bother you. Look at Robinson Cano, right? This is a great player in our history. Super nonchalant. Ground ball, he's throwing the ball sidearm. Half the time, he's not running down the first base line. But when you look up and you see 320 with 100 ribbies, suddenly we don't care. Suddenly you're getting big hits in October. We just don't care about your nonchalant attitude. But it just sort of, we have to be realistic with why it's bothering us. Trent Grisham, when he doesn't play well or if he has a bad day, it's going to look super frustrating because it looks like he's not trying. I promise you guys he's trying. So I didn't necessarily have any issue at all with his effort. I think that's just the way he plays. Jake, did that effort bother you at all, or is there anything you saw? Because just for me personally, I don't think it did.
Well, I mean, he was a little bit delayed on the one to the wall, but that's also a bang play. And I feel like we kind of just assume because he's a good defender, he's going to come away with all those plays. The diving catch, he put more effort in than like for instance, Verdugo, I understood why people, when they started calling out his lack of base running and how, he'd let a ball kind of just drop in front of him and people would be like, why'd he do that? I kind of get that because he's hitting 170 at the time and he's just horrendous. And it's like
poor performance, right?
Yeah. But I will say to the defense of that comment, Cano did bother me, Gary. There was something like I loved Cano, but when he didn't run out first base, like I remember when they got eliminated by the Tigers, I remember his jog and it just plays in the back of my mind like on repeat.
True story. I used to call him and tell him to run. Swear to you. If someone wants to call it out as a fake story, they can by all means do that. I used to call him on the phone and he would be one of the nicest guys ever. Hey man, run. And he obviously, the way he was responding and taking it was, I'm not doing it for it. Like, I'm not shortcutting this game. I work very hard and he's essentially mitigating risk. Do I need to run in this situation? If there's going to be a close play, he'll certainly make that choice and run, but I'm not going to be Johnny Hustle. I'm not going to be, sprinting down the first base line on a rollover to first base. Like, that's sort of the decision. So Trent Grisham for me has never bothered me from an effort standpoint. I think he works super hard.
Yeah, I've never had an issue with him.
Those were just poor reads. When you mentioned that ball to the wall, I think that's just a malfunction of a read. That's all I saw. And so I don't look too much in it. And Ed W with the super, Ed, thank you so much for the 5, says, go back and look at Rice's reaction when they swapped in Miller. He got owned before the at-bat. It actually reminded me a lot of when I watched the NBA Finals in 2014, LeBron's last year with the Heat, and Kawhi Leonard, he ends up rotating back into the game. They're like, hey, we're going to make a substitution. And you see LeBron turn around, he's like, damn. Because you just don't want to see that matchup. Now, is that a lack of competitiveness? No, it's not. But you have to be realistic, guys. If you're trying to do your job and something happens that's directly going to make that job more difficult to accomplish and make you look good, you're not going to be happy about it. So, yeah, seeing Mason Miller is like seeing the damn boogeyman at this point. He's as advertised. He's one of the best pitchers in this game.
Yeah, he's absolutely filthy. I mean, he had Goldschmidt waving. I just thought more so, Goldschmidt's strikeout looked bad and, Bellinger didn't look great either. But I don't know why Ben Rice's approach bothered me. That's all it was. It's just
he was clearly guessing because you know what happened? If you watch the at-bat, it was like, okay, it seemed like, he's tracking these pitches. Then you realize, it was fastball. It was like fastball high and he's like going for it. And then you see a pitch just like in the dirt and he's going. So it just kind of tells you that the stuff, at least from Ben Rice's perspective, is insurmountable to make a read. So I'm going to become in this moment a guess hitter, which guess hitting, for any of you who watch baseball every day, nothing will frustrate you more as a viewer than watching a guess hitter guess wrong. It's like taking a test and you're just guessing. You rarely ever guess correct.
Like
and
Donaldson?
You'll look, yes, like Donaldson. You will look really bad, I promise you. Especially with guys with great stuff, 186 mile-an-hour slider, and then he'll pitch backwards. Yeah, Ben Rice was never going to look good right there. And I think Mason Miller, a part of what makes him great is not just stuff. It's also detecting what type of hitter. Is this hitter making reads or is he guessing? Well, if you're guessing, I'll just throw you what I think you're not guessing. So that's sort of what you saw.
Yeah, I understand. I see in the comment section Grisham and Rice on the way back to the bottom. I don't agree with that. I think that's a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction. Grisham's average doesn't at all interest me. Like, I don't care. It's like we were talking about yesterday. His OPS is over 900.
He's slugging.
Like, Rice, his OPS is still over 900. I don't care that his average has dipped down to 258.
So you would agree, technically, if his batting average was dipping exactly the way it is, but you look up and you see Cabrera power, then I think we have a different conversation. Because
absolutely,
when you look up and you see Trent Grisham, I think a lot of people look up and they see, he's hitting 300. How long is that going to continue? It's not going to last forever. He never did this his whole career.
Yeah.
But what Aaron Boone and the Yankees are doing is they're saying he's giving us plus defense more times than not. He's giving us pop. And for now, he's giving us contact. So when that contact, and he gives you a couple 0 for 4s or 1 for 6s out there, his batting average is going to sink down into the 240s and 250s. But Jake, to your point, you're going to look up and you're still going to see high ops, like 800 plus. There's value in this player. There just is.
Hey, Gary.
What's up?
Remember Aaron Judge's like true rookie season?
I do remember it, yes.
So he hits 52 home runs, right? Do you remember his
Correct.
batting average?
You know, I don't actually remember his batting average. No.
It was 284.
I didn't know that.
He didn't hit 300. Like everyone just assumes he hit Oh, he had 52 home runs. He was insane. You know what his OPS was?
Probably low nines, like what, 910?
No, over 1,000. Do we
man.
care? Do we
No.
care? That's what I'm getting at. And that's the realization I'm having. Is that batting average still matters to a degree, but it's not the end all be all. Like if a guy has a 170 batting average, okay. But if he has like say Stanton, good example of this. He had a 233 batting average last year, Gary. He had an OPS, I believe, over 800. I'll take that from Stanton. There were people complaining, and when they don't like Stanton, they'll say, "Oh, he only has a 233 batting average. He's not helping us." Well, that's bullshit. He absolutely is helping us.
If Stanton's hitting 230, right? To your point, if Stanton hits 230, let's use Grisham since he's on the roster.
Yeah.
If Grisham's hitting 250 with, and obviously I'm not even going to give you the context of what he's doing. You guys watch the games. You know what the context is. If Grisham suddenly is hitting 250, is it the same as Cabrera hitting 250? No.
No.
Because Cabrera is going to hit 250 with 9 homers. Grisham is going to have a career high in homers this season. His ops is what it is because when he makes contact, he's not just spraying a single to the other way. There's value certainly in spraying a single, but there's more value when you put the ball in the seats. Grisham is doing that. So I understand us saying, oh no, like we've got an 0 for 4 and we've got a logjam in the outfield. So maybe Grisham should be packed away. It's been nice. Thanks so much for what you did, but we're going to sit you down now because now you're the Grisham of old. No, it's going to take a while before the Yankees punt on what Trent Grisham's done because Trent Grisham is slugging. That's the most valuable thing you can do in this game. And Ronnie with the 50 super chat. Ronnie, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Says one-run deficit. And you know, I read this and I sort of defended Aaron Boone about his decisions to go in the bullpen, and the decisions he made it was dictated by the score. We weren't winning at the time. And Ronnie brings up the point, a 1-run deficit in the 8th. Best relievers have been off since Wednesday. I would have went Weaver. Boone said, nah, we got Matzik. It is what it is. So I, in a way, of course, when you explain it in that way, due to off days, yeah, that is part, Ronnie, of managing your bullpen throughout a season. What's the best thing for the Yankees today? And what's the best thing for the Yankees long term? How do I keep these guys fresh? Well, what Ronnie brings up is that they haven't pitched since Wednesday. So couldn't they have thrown today, regardless of if you were winning the game or not, as long as this game was close? And Jake, I sort of agree with Ronnie here. I do.
I 100%
I think this is a good point.
Devin Williams also was warming up. So it wasn't like they chose Ian Hamilton over Devin Williams. And then Devin Williams never came in, even in a 1-run game.
It is interesting because it's like if you're making the decision that I'm managing these guys and their health and it's dictated by the score, then why is somebody warming up? And I'm going to listen to the post game in its entirety because I do want to know and I want to learn why Aaron Boone made this decision the way he did. And obviously, if you watch this show from the very beginning, I wasn't going to make any excuses for Boone and his choices, but I'm trying to explain why he possibly would have done this. And if it's our choice, we would love to just see Weaver, Williams, and Cruz all in order right away, right? You see your best guys. As long as they haven't pitched maybe even yesterday multiple innings, then give it your best shot. But I'm trying to give Boone the benefit of the doubt that maybe these guys didn't pitch because he knows we're talking about a May 10th game, and they've still got to pitch May 11th. They've still got to pitch into August, right? July, October. and that's also part of it. So, yeah, I tried. I definitely tried, but Ronnie brings up a good point. When you look up the off days, there's certainly evidence to point to the Yankees could have gone a different direction out the bullpen in this game. I think there's certainly an excuse there. So Dave with the super says, meh, it was one game. They fought back. Cruz was off. Now, not putting more significance than that, win the rubber match. This could be, Jake, how Boone is looking at this. You guys may be pissed today, but if we win tomorrow, we win the series, we win our first of 2 West Coast series, we only play one more West Coast series this year, and they're all being played this month, and we're done. So that is great scheduling for the Yankees. That's first and foremost. And Dave is technically correct. It will just be one game if you land on your feet tomorrow. That's sort of the way that baseball goes. It's unfortunate that you can't just win every game, but it is true. Cruz was horrible, and if Cruz was better, certainly you probably would have seen Weaver. You probably would have seen Williams. What do you think, Jake?
No, I think that makes sense. I don't like it. I get what you're saying. I still don't like it. If the game was a 3-run or 4-run deficit, fine. But you saw it. Aaron Judge hit that home run and everything changed. All these guys, well, the second home run, everyone was taking his lead.
It's hard to keep up, huh?
I know, it really is. I mean, God, how many home runs is he going to have taken away by either the ballpark or...
Well, he's got 14 so far, because you were talking yesterday. You're like, hey, he doesn't lead Major League Baseball in homers. They took one away from him, and I didn't say anything because I was like, I wouldn't even get upset about it. He's going to lead the league in jacks again. He's going to hit 59, 62, 64. Just a cartoon
can you imagine
character.
if he hits 73 and he ties? Or what if he hits like 72 and it's like he had that home run taken away, and then this series he had 2 home runs yesterday that didn't count because of the stupid dimensions of this field. I don't like this field. I will be very glad when they're not playing here again. I do not like it.
No, I mean, I think everybody agrees with you. We're sort of playing. It's just the best we got. We just drew a baseball field at this random yard, and it doesn't feel right. It feels a lot like that. What was the game that we played where Tim Anderson hit the bomb into the corn?
Oh,
you remember that game?
Field of Dreams game.
The Field of Dreams game. Everybody
Tim Anderson
else
celebrated like he won the World Series, and then never did jack shit ever again.
I think it was his last hit.
That was his. That was the start of his midlife crisis.
Yeah, it was obviously horrible. And I like tradition. That's just how I am.
Wasn't it off Zach Britton?
Yes, it was off of Zach Britton. And they clearly were using juice baseballs. At that moment, they were using juice baseballs. I don't care what anyone says. Major League Baseball was just throwing in balls. And they were just like, that was the whole game for us too. Like, we were hitting fly balls and they were going way out. So
I didn't
remember,
like it. I'm like, you had the Yankees playing in this like Field of Dreams game, which was dope. And you lost to the White Sox. It just felt so wrong.
I know.
It was like, we'll never come back from that. Like, it just never will happen. But all jokes aside, I'm over Matzik. Ed W brings up a great point. He is just another project. And this is what I meant when sometimes you can find some huge diamonds in the rough, but it's kind of like if you go to like a garage sale, you might be able to find some cool stuff, but like most of it is crap. It just is.
I do that all the time. I go home with it. I go to Goodwill.
Yeah,
I buy something. I look at my wife. I go, can you believe someone just gave this up? And then I get home. I start putting it somewhere and I go, oh, it just snaps in half. I'm like, oh, you know what? It was garbage. That's why it was there.
Yep. And
it turns out.
Don't get me wrong. There are still teams that make bad decisions. Like, for instance, the Yankees getting rid of Yoendris Gomez because now they don't even have a guy in that spot. Because look at that today, Gary. They couldn't bring in Yarbrough because he's starting tomorrow. This is the issue. This is their issue that they're in. Is that now it's like, oh, yeah, it's all fun and games. You want to take a bullpen guy and make him a starter. Well, now he's not a bullpen guy anymore.
Is it fair of me to bring up, though, the Yankees are still a highly flawed team, but they do have a lot of depth in terms of what they have positionally. So
I think that's absolutely fair. I called them loaded yesterday.
Yeah. So I wouldn't call them loaded only.
Not
so
in that sense. Just
this is the only reason.
Bodies.
This is it's a lot of bodies. This is what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love a lot of our options, but they're highly serviceable. If you look at a lot of these teams, let's use the Boston Red Sox, who currently sit in second place in the division, right? That's important. The Red Sox are clearly the second best team in this division. One of their top prospects gets hurt. He's out for the season, right? I think it was like patellar injury.
Yeah.
Rafael Devers does not want to move to first base because he's throwing a hissy fit that he can't play third base over a guy who's won Gold Gloves for a team that's won World Series titles. In Bregman. Bregman is playing third. Now he doesn't want to play first base. You didn't give me any preparation time. I don't want to do it, right? So now the Boston Red Sox, if you guys go watch their games, they have a person catching balls at first that nobody could name because they're not good at all. They don't have a Ben Rice to throw over there. They don't have a Paul Goldschmidt to throw over there. They have no options whatsoever. And eventually,
got me curious.
Right, you don't have a clue who in the world these guys are. So yes, Jordan7 in the chat says this whole Devers situation is crazy. You're absolutely
Nick
right.
Sogard.
Who is? But the question is, at first base, you mean to tell me you don't have the depth to throw any other name over there at first base? And what it should tell you guys is that the Yankees have flaws. They've got flaws, in my opinion, right now at second base, even when Jazz is healthy. They've got technically flaws at third base. They have a platoon going on of young players. We got something today, but it's a platoon. It is what it is. Then you have somewhat of a logjam in the outfield. And then we're a little thin in terms of starting pitching. And we're sort of just feeling our way out while also looking at the division and saying the second best team's playing 500 ball. I think we'll survive this. So I would agree with you guys that some of this stuff is an issue if your aspirations are to win a World Series. But also the Yankees' first goal is to win this division. You don't have to be that great to win this division right now. So no. I do think to some degree for maybe a third or half of the season, we can probably look up and say, man, I wish that guy wasn't pitching like Matzik. Matzik can kind of crap the bed for half a year. We can just get rid of him. And then when it really matters in August and September, we'll fill in those gaps with some better guys. And then before you know it, I think we'll be okay. So I agree. Some of these things are issues, but we also score more runs than any team in this division. And we're also surrendering less runs than every team in the division other than Tampa. So yeah, I do to some degree. I do agree. Some of these things matter. They'll catch up with you, correct. But I don't know, guys. I look up at the division and the American League altogether, and I say there are a lot of flawed teams. I think more than ever do I see flawed baseball clubs. It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It's so funny to me how we still have players today that are throwing hissy fits, and like A-Rod literally was the best shortstop in the league and was like, no, it's fine. I'll play third. Rafael
Devers he couldn't even hold Alex Rodriguez's jockstrap.
I know.
And he's sitting here complaining, and there's a better third baseman on your roster. You thought you were playing third base. Why'd you think that? Here's why he thought that. He thought he should be playing third base. I'm really going to decipher why he thinks he should be playing third, because at the time when he signed his contract, he was probably thinking to himself, I'm going to sign a deal for like $300 million. So I'm really doing the Red Sox a favor. They're not really spending a whole lot of money after me. So if I sign this contract, you better just bow down to everything I say and I want to do for the rest of this contract. That was his assumption. And then all of a sudden they made a signing of Alex Bregman, who's a way better third baseman. And
he's a better player right now.
He's a better player right now. Bregman defensively is light years past what Devers is doing at third, and Devers is not even a good third base. Like, Devers isn't even a good defensive third baseman in comparison to the players we have on our roster.
No. That's the thing that's funny is that I know there's going to be people that want him, and like, yeah, if you want his bat, I get that. First off, the Red Sox aren't sending him to the Yankees, so
no, they are not.
Stop that. But no, he'd actually be a downgrade from Oswaldo Cabrera defensively at third. He really would.
And he's complaining because he can't. They want him to be at first base, hit 290, 300, Go get big hits against the Yankees. Do what you were doing offensively, and he's complaining about where he's playing defense. I don't get it.
I just don't get how a grown man is having a hissy fit over this. Like, it honestly makes me respect this guy less. And it's funny to me because we were talking about this last year with Glaber. And I like Glaber, but like, again, like what A-Rod did is one of the most thankless things. No one ever talks about it. But I still, to this day, that's how important that was. He could have totally disrupted the whole flow of the Yankees if he at any point went back on his word and said, oh, well, I'm not playing third. I'm going to play shortstop.
Yeah, I just think at some point, we do have to remember this is still a young person. Like, people make stupid decisions before they're 30. And someone, to some degree, outside of Devers himself, has to get in his ear and say, you're kind of making a fool of yourself. You're not good enough at baseball to just tell people what you're doing. You're still an employee. As crazy as this sounds, guys, Aaron Judge, right, Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, as great as these guys were at baseball, they're just employees. They work for somebody. And when somebody gives you hundreds of millions of dollars to do a job, you do what the boss says.
He was
if
the
your
exact
manager,
age as Devers, by the way, A-Rod, when he did that.
There you have it. If they tell you to play third, they could tell you you're going to stand on the warning track in right field, on the foul pole, and do this with your glove. You're going to do it. Go out there and do what they tell you to do. That's what you agreed to when you signed this contract. They didn't have you sign this contract so you can tell them what you're doing. That's not what this isn't the NBA where you just get to tell them to give you helicopters and fly you everywhere and give you a suite. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, now you got former Red Sox coming out and be like, bro, shut up and play baseball. Like, what are you doing? You're making us all look bad. Yeah, I mean, hey, he has a right to do that, right? We all have free will, but we have a right to criticize him for it. So it is what it is. Some guys care about, the whole we, not me idea of a team, and then some guys are me, not we. So
me guy hitting 280. Man, please.
Yeah, I know.
Kidding.
Anyway, we move to Profit X, who is the sponsor of today's live stream. We try to move forward to tomorrow.
Sevy.
Yes, finally.
Ooh.
The Yankees did not get to see Severino last year, but they are going to see him this year. So not with the Mets, but now with the A's. And Profit X does not have the game up currently. So that's a little annoying, but yeah, we'll just show you that.
Because I was excited. I was excited about making these picks because I was ready to see Sevy.
We know
we
what
can
the
still, in
picks
theory,
are gonna be. So
you can imagine it.
Yeah.
Is what you can do.
And then wait until tomorrow morning or even tonight. They'll be up probably. Well, it is night. All right, yeah, tomorrow morning.
Well, Yarborough's not going to get an over/under for his 5.5 Ks, so we can just go ahead and put that to bed. It'll probably be set at like what, 2.5?
Maybe. I don't even know if that'll be a thing.
Probably not.
Like what? How do you even set that when you don't know if this guy's going to be an opener or he's going to be a starter? There's been no indication on whatever. See, that's the thing, Gary. I could see him being an opener tomorrow because they barely used the bullpen to
who?
Ronnie's point.
Who?
Yarbrough.
He's going to be the opener tomorrow, yes.
No, I know, but I'm saying I could see them literally, like, even if he's pitching well,
okay,
like Boone having one of those moments where he wants to use his bullpen. So he's only looking for him to get
we don't have that many options. If we had Britton, Betances, and Chapman, I would understand what you're saying. We don't have as many good options as I think people are giving us credit for. We just don't. Because think of it this way. Cruz pitched today. He got lit, right?
Yes.
Now, that doesn't mean they're going to freak out and say Cruz can never pitch again. But what it does mean is that tomorrow, Cruz they're not in a rush to get Cruz out of the bullpen immediately tomorrow. So the way I see it, they're probably going to try and get to like the 4th or the 5th with Yarborough, like into the 5th inning, give us 4 1/3, and then we're going to have to go to the bullpen after that. I don't know who they go to out the bullpen, but I'm going to assume we're going to see Leiter Jr. tomorrow. I think that's a given. Right? They're going to go Leiter Jr. He has really good splits against left-handers. That'll matter tomorrow. Devin Williams is 100% pitching tomorrow. Weaver is 100% pitching tomorrow. So you sort of know the ball flies.
I think it's not a good, definitely not a good matchup for Mark Leiter Jr. I would just prefer him not pitching in this ballpark. But
so you're taking the over tomorrow. I take it.
I don't think Yarbrough is going to pitch well. I don't.
Okay, so I'm taking the over. There you have it.
Yeah. So I'll take the over on the runs, whatever they are.
Okay. We'll select him eventually.
No,
we'll select him eventually when we see him.
Yeah. We'll have it on Twitter, guys. So if you want to see the official picks from us, we'll have it on Twitter. I
want to see more of our followers on Twitter. I know I see a few of them. Certainly.
Yeah, but YouTube is superior, so that's totally fine.
It is, but I want them to wipe the schmuck off of X. Like all those dudes. There's so many. There's so many.
Hallway?
Dude, there's so many bad Yankees fans on X. They're useless. There's like a whole community of like 30,000 people all joined up in one community, and it's just like if you give an opinion that they disagree with, they're like, oh, it's just the worst thing they've ever seen. There's no conversation. Dude, it's so bad. It's never been good.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And by the way, Severino is 1-3 for whatever reason, does not get run support with this team. That'll change tomorrow, I think. But he has a 3.62 ERA, 38 strikeouts, a 1.21 WHIP.
Okay.
Sevy's gonna have a game tomorrow. He's wanted to pitch against the Yankees for a long time.
I sort of agree with you.
They did give up on him technically. So,
as we should have.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the injuries just were too tough. But you know, you root for him when he's not when he's not going against the Yankees. I don't know a single Yankee fan that doesn't like Sevy. But yeah, I'm gonna take Sevy's strikeouts over.
Okay.
And I'm not saying he's having like the best year ever or anything. I just think tomorrow he's going to be brilliant. I really believe that. So, Yankees are going to have to bring the sticks tomorrow again because I think it's going to be a shootout tomorrow. I think Sevy's going to dominate, and I think it's going to be very similar to today where I actually thought Kotze was an idiot for taking Sears out. I thought he overread the idea of, oh, yeah, Sears, hasn't gone against the third time through the order. I thought that was stupid. He put in that guy. The guy gave 5 runs out of the bullpen.
Yeah, he psyched himself out a little bit there. Mucked up the water. Didn't have to happen. And my mom's sitting there trying to get us to wrap the show up. Mom, the Padres are up 3-0. They're playing the Sisters of the Poor Rockies. You can turn the game on. What do you want me to tell you? So, she thinks this is Rockies Padres Unloaded. Yeah. No, that's 5-0. Good God.
Well, maybe your mom can run Padres Unloaded. How about that?
My mom can start. My mom and my grandmother can start. They can Padres Unloaded. Yeah,
that's amazing.
They certainly can.
Yeah. So over on Sevy strikeouts. Are you good on that?
I'm good on over on the Sevy strikeouts. I'm good on that.
Runs. The overall runs.
Why not? It's more fun, especially with the ball flying the way that it is. I mean, it's hot. There's a heat wave in California. So for those of you who don't realize, it was 88 degrees at the field today. So I'm going to assume tomorrow is going to be scorching again. I'm taking the over.
Over, and dingers for the road.
I had Belly today, and he flew out to the track. That's brutal.
And did you see Dominguez also did that too?
Yes.
And then, of course, they had some like dinky dunk, hit. I can't stand that. That's how you know you're going to lose. When you're scorching them out to the warning track and then the other team's getting broken bat singles that just barely fall in between the shortstop and outfielder. Who do I want to go with? Who is due?
Ben Rice is due for homer. He's in homer. Because he's, right? Yeah. Ben Rice.
Oh, because he'll be in the lineup.
He'll be in the lineup against the righty. and he's probably going to hit closer to the top of the lineup. He might hit second tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that Ben Rice is going to hit a home run. Yeah.
And I'll go with Trent Bonds.
Trent Bonds, okay.
Trent Grisham is going yard again.
Okay. I can see him sitting tomorrow. I'm sorry, but I can see it.
If he sits, then my backup.
Actually, the guy who might... No, he shouldn't sit. If Dominguez sits because he went 0 for 3 today, then we've got bigger problems. So he should not sit.
Okay, so if Trent Grisham sits for some reason, and he can't hit a home run because of that, my backup play is your beat B-Boss.
Okay. Well,
that was a long pause. You're like,
I was trying to come up with a reason of why, but Jake's feeling it, guys. Your beat.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. He's due.
Yeah. Anything else to add?
No, here's why. And by the way,
oh boy,
Peraza, real quick. No. Hear me out. Today, Peraza and Pablo Reyes were duking it out to make this roster. Did you hear on the broadcast they've already had the tough discussions about who's going to be gone after, when they call up DJ LeMahieu, which they said is imminent?
Yeah.
I mean, if they dare choose to get rid of Peraza and keep Reyes, I'm going to lose it. But I felt like after I heard that, because it happened like in the middle of the broadcast, I had no doubt Peraza was coming through. I didn't think he'd hit a home run, but I had no doubt Peraza was coming through. There's a lot of pressure on both of them. And that also means there's a lot of pressure on B-Boss, who did not play today. So I think we're going to get a B-Boss home run, and I think he is going to have a really good game tomorrow.
Well, that would be cool. When I saw Peraza come up to the plate, when I saw Reyes come to the plate, when I see Cabrera come to the plate, same with B-Boss. I don't want to use the word confidence because that projects negativity, and that's not what this is. I'm pleasantly surprised if anything happens. That's the way I view it. You guys can go up there. Great. Good for you. I'm rooting for you. And if something good happens, awesome. And if one of you guys wants to go win this position, I'm rooting for one of you to stand up. But if you guys are all sort of just sitting at the bottom of the barrel, it's hard for me to freak out about any one decision. They send Cabrera down, they send Peraza down, or if they send Reyes down, am I supposed to be freaking out about any of those decisions when they're all hitting 200? I don't think so. So I want one of these guys to stand out, to make a difference before this decision's made. That's all I'm rooting for. Because I don't want us to be looking at players hitting $190 and then I'm talking about potential of a player. I don't know what their potential is. I've never seen them do that. So to see, obviously, what Peraza did today, it was a huge hit. I thought it was the game-winning bomb, and then it didn't materialize. Kind of stole his moment, but I was proud of him.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Tomorrow is a big game because you don't want to lose the series that you probably should have swept, to be honest with you.
Probably.
So, 4:05 tomorrow. It is Ryan Yarbrough taking on Luis Severino in Severino's first game against the Yankees, and I don't think it's going to be a fun one until he is out of the game. So that's what we got for you. In the comments section, this is what you're going to do. It's up to you. You're the manager, and you have to choose between the three: B-Boss, Peraza, or Reyes. If you say Reyes, we're banning you from the chat. No, just kidding. But pick one of those three and drop it in the comments section as to who the Yankees should keep on the 26-man roster when they have to make the moves for, of course, Johnny Lowe, Stanton, DJ LeMahieu, because they're going to have to get rid of two of those three. So put it in the comments section. Be sure to like the video. Also be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you guys at some point tomorrow.
And like this video.